Firstly, he deflected the blame. Moments after the slap, the award for Best Actor was presented. This was the award that Smith was favored to win. Many were not sure if he would be asked to leave the show, or if the Oscars might actually change the winner to someone else at the last moment. However, he did win the award for his portrayal of Richard Williams in the movie King Richard, based on the father of tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. When he came up to accept the award, fans were hoping that he would apologize to Chris Rock and the fans, but he did not, and he actually deflected the blame, even comparing himself to Richard Williams. Smith said in part, quote, "Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. I'm being called in on my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. I know to do what we do, you gotta be able to take criticism. You gotta be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you gotta be able to have people disrespecting you. And you gotta smile, you gotta pretend like it's okay." He also added, quote, "Love will make you do crazy things." He later apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees, but many did not think this apology went far enough, especially since he deflected the blame for the action beforehand, blaming his instincts to protect his family for deciding to do an unprecedented action at the most prestigious award show there is. One fan wrote on Twitter after the speech, quote, "All the media outlets tweeting about Will Smith apologizing in his acceptance speech were clearly watching a different awards ceremony. Smith's tearful speech did not include an apology to Chris Rock. So clearly, in my opinion, he is not sorry to Chris Rock." And at number 7, Lupita Nyong'o. One of the celebrities whose live reaction to the incident has gone viral is Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita was seated right behind Will Smith, so when he sat down after slapping Chris Rock, we got a clear view of exactly how she was feeling. It was the same shock and horror that most of us were experiencing at that time. Lupita won Best Supporting Actress in 2014 for her role in 12 Years a Slave and was at the 2022 ceremony to hand out the Best Costume Design award. She looked incredibly uncomfortable as she sat inches away from Will as he raged at Chris Rock on stage. One person tweeted along with her picture, quote, "Give Lupita Best Supporting Actress for her work tonight." This is now being called her second best moment at the Oscars. The first was when she took part in Ellen DeGeneres' then social media breaking selfie from the 2014 ceremony. Didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Since Will Smith won the award for Best Actor just moments after slapping Chris Rock, many thought he would take this time to apologize to Chris Rock for the insane move. But he didn't. He apologized to almost everyone else other than the person that he hit. During his speech, Smith said, quote, "Denzel Washington said to me, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." Adding, quote, "I want to apologize to the Academy, I want to apologize to my fellow nominees," at no point mentioning Chris Rock. Then he tried to lighten the mood by saying, quote, "Art imitates life. I look like a crazy father just like they said, but love will make you do crazy things."
Next up is comedian Jim Carrey. It's unlikely any comedian in general will side with Will Smith considering the precedents it sets. But while touring for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Jim Carrey was asked about his reaction to Will Smith getting on stage and hitting Chris. The comedian had this to say, quote, "I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless en masse. And it really felt like this is a real clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience or disapprove or show disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words."
Blacklisted from other award shows. It's not a stretch to think that other award shows might not allow Will Smith to attend after he slapped a host while they were presenting. The Academy tweeted after, quote, "The Academy does not condone violence of any form. Tonight we are delighted to celebrate our 94th Academy Awards winners who deserve this moment of recognition from their peers and movie lovers around the world." Clearly they did not want to publicly trash one of their winners, but I'm sure they are not happy with what took place. And at number 3, Nick Viall. Nick Viall, former Bachelor contestant, gave his thoughts on the slap, and he was asked to compare it to the drama on The Bachelor. Viall said what happened at the Oscars was, quote, "way more dramatic than what happens on The Bachelor." Adding, quote, "I think most people just wondered if it was like a bit or a joke, if it was fake. I think pretty quickly we realized it was serious." Viall also shared that he felt bad for Chris Rock, adding, quote, "Chris Rock is there to be a comedian. He tells jokes. Obviously, you know, there's going to be some at the expense of people. Everyone has a right to feel how they feel, and we have our hurt feelings, but how we handle our hurt feelings matters. Viall continued that he doesn't think Smith handled his feelings in the best way, but added that his performance in King Richard was amazing and he deserved the win.
Coming in at number 10 on our list is Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow is an actress who was extremely outspoken about her reaction to the ill-fated Oscars night. After it happened, she took to Twitter to post, quote, "It was just a joke. Jokes are what Chris Rock does. Always has been edgy. This was a mild joke for him, and I love G.I. Jane. What I saw was one of Hollywood's most powerful movie stars stalking onto a stage to strike a comedian for an unfortunate joke about his gorgeous wife's shaved head. Anyone who is okay with that has probably never been hit by a powerful man. As we advise our kids, use your words." A lot of people in the comments to her post were duking it out, with some people equating alopecia to cancer, and others saying that Will Smith should be jailed for slapping Chris. My favorite reply was someone linking another tweet saying, quote, "It's actually not funny at all. Will Smith could have killed him with that slap. What if his hand had been full of bees and Chris Rock was allergic to bees and one of the bees stung Chris and nobody had an EpiPen? Not funny now, is it?" Next up is Howard Stern, who had a whole show planned before he decided to scrap it all and focus on the Oscars incident instead. Quote, "Well, I had a whole show planned, but I gotta throw that out because I want to vent about this Oscars thing that occurred. The blunt reporter certainly held nothing back and did in fact vent quite readily about the whole situation. Quote, "This is a sign of great mental illness when you can't control your impulse. Not only that, it was hardly an insulting joke. It wasn't even a good joke." It may be safe to say that Howard Stern wasn't too fond of Will Smith after the headline made the incident. He even compared Will to former US President Donald Trump. He also criticized the Academy's handling of the situation, including the lack of security taking action. While there have been mixed reports on whether or not Will Smith was asked to leave the ceremony following the slap, the star still went onto stage to collect his award for Best Actor mere moments later. Howard Stern was upset that no one seemed to care and even cheered for him once he won the award. Quote, "Will Smith harmed another human being, and you guys did nothing." Another celebrity who will definitely never work with Will Smith is Judd Apatow. Probably the most embarrassing set of tweets to come out of the whole Oscars slap situation were Judd Apatow's, which are since deleted. Although he was one of the first people to call out Will Smith for his behavior, some think that he took it way too far. Judd wrote on Twitter, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out-of-control rage and aggression." After he received pushback for the tweet, the 40-year-old Virgin director elaborated his viewpoints on the SiriusXM pop culture spotlight. He admitted that he wasn't actually watching the Oscars when he took to Twitter, but was instead informed of the incident while on the phone with a friend. That being said, he did stick by his statements about Will Smith in other interviews. Quote, "As soon as that line is crossed, really anything can happen. That's what happened, but something else could have happened too." Judd also told Pop Culture Spotlight, quote, "I just think there certainly is a way of handling dissatisfaction. We should never tell people that the solution is to break that barrier and leap on the stage and commit an act of harm in front of people who are inspired by you."
Next up, showed his true colors. Will Smith has been long considered one of the nicest and most humble A-list celebrities there is, but after this incident, people are starting to think differently of him, because no truly nice person would do what Will Smith did. Maybe this is the type of person he's actually been all along, and the nice guy image that he's cultivated is fake, with many comparing him to other celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres, who was exposed for being mean. Many tweets online after the incident accused Smith of showing his true colors with his action. It essentially took him less than 5 seconds to decide to not only physically harm someone, but to disrespect the Oscars and everyone else that was there that night. I guess people will make their own decisions about his character moving forward, but for a lot of fans, their opinion of him has changed.
Kathy Griffin is up next as someone who likely won't work with Will Smith based on how she reacted to the Oscars, having very clearly sided with Chris Rock in this situation. She tweeted out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's a very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically harm a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters." It is perhaps extremely unsurprising that Griffin, who herself loves to push the boundaries of comedy, would side with Chris Rock in this situation and be more concerned about the safety of comedians after seeing Chris Rock get slapped over a joke. Given her own controversies of inciting violence against former President Donald Trump that landed her in trouble with the Secret Service, we weren't surprised to see that she got some pushback from her tweets about being kind to one another.
Halfway at number 5, Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman easily had the most memeable reaction to the slap, and thankfully photographers captured the moment where her jaw was dropped as low as it could go. Kidman was seated in the front row, so not only did she get a clear view of the slap, we got an unobstructed view of her reaction. I really think hers is the perfect reaction to the slap because it was just so shocking. My face probably looked about the same when I saw it. Kidman is well known for another notable Oscars moment when her seal-looking clap was put on display. Thankfully, this will now be the new meme starring her.
Next up is Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. He has always been extremely outspoken on Twitter, and the Oscar slap incident was no exception. The night of the incident, he tweeted, quote, "Stand-up comics are very adept at handling hecklers. Physical harm, not so much." Okay, I abbreviated this because I'm not allowed to say a lot of words due to our feudal lords at YouTube, but you get the idea. The tweet left a heated debate in the comments, with one user writing, quote, "Chris Rock was wrong. Mocking Jada's medical condition, especially on stage in front of hundreds of people, is despicable. I don't blame Will for getting upset or for doing what he did." While another user wrote, quote, "You can't just harm people. Even if someone says something part of being an adult is understanding that you can't just hit people. I like Will Smith and I have compassion for his wife, but he was wrong to hit Chris Rock."
And finally, he could get arrested. Just a reminder that what Will Smith did was illegal, and he could have easily been arrested and charged. The LAPD said in a statement after the Oscars, quote, "LAPD investigative entities are aware of an incident between two individuals during the Academy Awards program. The incident involved one individual slapping another. The individual involved has declined to file a police report. If the involved party desires a police report at a later date, LAPD will be available to complete an investigative report." So clearly Chris Rock is not deciding to file any charges, thankfully for Will Smith, but if they don't reconcile, nothing is stopping Rock from pressing charges at a later date, so hopefully Will Smith apologizes.
Next up is Chris Rock's brother, Tony Rock. Absolutely no surprise that he comes to his sibling's defense. Airing his frustrations on a stand-up set a few days after the Oscar slap incident, Tony stated, quote, "If you think you're gonna walk up on this stage, this ain't the Oscars, and if you walk your ass up here, you ain't nominated for with these hands." As the crowd cheered, Tony took it a step further, adding, quote, "I didn't want to start the show like that. You're gonna hit my brother." Tony also made it clear on Twitter after Will Smith apologized to Chris that he does not accept the apology on his brother's behalf by stating, quote, "No," when asked if he forgave him. Last but certainly not least is Chris Rock, who was the recipient of the slap in question. Interestingly, he said absolutely nothing about the slap and has kept extremely quiet. He's currently on tour and has made zero mention of the incident, although I'm sure he could have gotten away with a few digs considering that most people took his side. But that being said, I doubt he'd be running to star alongside Will Smith in any comedy anytime soon.
In at number 10, Judd Apatow. After the shocking altercation, some celebrities took to Twitter to share how much they disagreed with Will Smith's actions. Director Judd Apatow was probably the most vocal, who said in a series of tweets, quote, "Seems like Will Smith's plan to get comedians and the world to not make jokes about him is not going to pan out. The Williams family must be furious. Pure narcissism. Also, G.I. Jane was gorgeous. What exactly is insulting about being compared to a ripped, stunning Demi Moore?" He then replied to a tweet that mentioned that Will did what he did because Rock was insulting her alopecia. Apatow doubled down, writing, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out-of-control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last 3 decades. They're not freshmen in the world of Hollywood and comedy. He lost his mind." Apatow has since deleted the tweets, but we can assume he meant every word. In at number 9, Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish was one of the few celebrities who decided to support Will Smith's actions. She stated how much she loved to see a husband standing up for his wife. It probably also helped that Haddish and Pinkett Smith are friends and starred in the movie Girls Trip together. Haddish told People, quote, "When I saw a black man stand up for his wife, that meant so much to me. As a woman who has been unprotected, for someone to say, 'Keep my wife's name out of your mouth, leave my wife alone,' that's what your husband is supposed to do, right? Protect you." And maybe the world might not like how it went down, but for me it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen because it made me believe there are still men out there that love and care about their women. Adding that she thought it was beautiful because it proved that there are husbands that still care about their wives. In at number 8, Sophia Bush. One Tree Hill star Sophia Bush tried to see both sides of the situation and tweeted out, quote, "Violence isn't okay, assault is never the answer. Also, this is the second time that Chris has made fun of Jada on the Oscar stage, and tonight he went after her alopecia. Punching down at someone's autoimmune disease is wrong. Doing so on purpose is cruel. They both need a breather." I do appreciate how she tried to see both sides of things because both men are wrong in some ways. Chris Rock also joked about Pinkett Smith at the 2016 Oscars. Her and Will decided not to go that year to protest the lack of diversity at the award show. While hosting, Rock said, quote, Jada said she's not coming to protest. I'm like, isn't she on a TV show? Jada's going to boycott the Oscars? Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. He also took a jab at Will and added a comment about Will's lack of nomination that year, saying, quote, "It's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated. You're right. It's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West, okay?" He said, referencing one of Smith's biggest flops.
Coming in at number 7, Rosie O'Donnell. Not unlike Howard Stern's take, Rosie O'Donnell also had a problem with how the Academy Award organizers handled the situation. Clearly, Rosie was signing off to Team Chris Rock when she tweeted out, quote, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away. Bravo from a sad display of toxic masculinity from a narcissistic madman. If only they would take it into the ring, then we could truly see who is eviscerating who." In addition to making it clear that she believed Chris Rock could demolish Smith in, I guess, a battle of comedic minds, Rosie also heavily criticized the Academy for their initial response to the entire situation. In a separate tweet written in response to a statement released by the organization about not condoning violence, she asked, quote, "Then why did you do nothing?" O'Donnell didn't stop there. She also spent quite a bit of time retweeting messages from her friends and other Twitter users that all condemn Will Smith's actions and praise Chris Rock for not acting in retaliation.
And at number 6, Denzel Washington. Another celebrity that supported Will Smith after his outburst was Denzel Washington. During the commercial break of the show, journalists noted that Will was seen talking to Washington and Tyler Perry for an extended period of time. Will was breaking down and looking for support from the men. The Hollywood Reporter's columnist Scott Feinberg captured the moment when Denzel Washington approached Smith during a commercial break and shared it on Twitter Sunday night. The reporter added, quote, "Will appears to wipe tears away from his eyes as he sits back down with Jada, with Denzel comforting Jada and Will's rep by his side." Then during his speech for Best Actor, Will revealed what Denzel said to him, saying, quote, "At your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil comes for you." It seems the pair are good friends. During another interview, Will said, quote, "He knew me years ago. I would go to Denzel for advice, so he's seen me through the years and he was just telling me how proud he is of who I've become and what I've become." Other celebrities are vocal against him. After the shocking altercation, some celebrities took to Twitter to share how much they disagree with Will Smith's actions. Director Judd Apatow was probably the most vocal, who said in a series of tweets, quote, "Seems like Will Smith's plan to get comedian and the world not to make jokes about him is not going to pan out. The Williams family must be furious, pure narcissism. Also, G.I. Jane was gorgeous. What exactly is insulting about being compared to a ripped, stunning Demi Moore?" He then replied to a tweet that mentioned that he did what he did because Chris Rock was insulting her alopecia. Apatow doubled down, writing, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out of control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last 3 decades. They are not freshmen in the world of Hollywood and comedy. He lost his mind." Apatow has since deleted these tweets. Kathy Griffin also chimed in, tweeting out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically assault a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters." And at number 4, Serena Williams. Serena Williams was also in the front row of the show as her father and life story was showcased in the movie King Richard. Since she had such a deep connection to the film, many were wondering what her and her sister Venus's reaction would be to the outburst. She broke her silence on Instagram, where she simply shared a video of her mouth hanging open with her eyes wide, clearly showcasing what we were all feeling, utter disbelief. She then followed this up with another video, saying, quote, "I just sat down because I was like, I gotta put that drink down," again looking in shock. It was clearly a reference to what just happened. The sisters have said nothing more. Many are wondering if the family is hurt that Will would hurt the legacy of the film or if they approve of what he did. Coming in at number 3 is Janet Hubert. Janet Hubert has had beef with Will Smith that predates the Oscars, thank God, all the way back to the 90s when she worked alongside him in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She played Aunt Viv for 3 seasons before their beef led to her being replaced in 1993. She told HuffPost decades later, quote, "My departure was planned for a long time. There will never be a reunion for The Fresh Prince. Will Smith and Alfonso destroyed a 20-year career with untruths. I got slammed." Will apologized later in an Essence magazine article, but it still lingers. It's still there. Apparently, the beef started when Smith refused to vouch for Hubert when she wanted a pay raise and a contract renegotiation. Meanwhile, tons of rumors circulated that she was notoriously extremely difficult to work with, which derailed her career and she never really recovered from it. That being said, they did have a tentative truce when Will invited her onto the Fresh Prince reunion that she earlier said would never happen. Although I doubt
doubt she'd go through filming anything with him again.
In at number 2, Ethan Klein. One YouTuber that made their thoughts incredibly clear was Ethan Klein, who posted a string of tweets denouncing Will's actions. He wrote, quote, "Will Smith just a walking L since his wife decided to start weekly humiliating him on her Facebook show. Probably should deal with whatever trauma he has with her instead of punching Chris Rock in the face for an extremely tame joke. He needs to be escorted out of the Oscars, L." Adding in another tweet, quote, "Will Smith won and got a standing ovation. I'm in awe. The show went on like nothing happened. Will Smith punched a comedian for doing his job. He's a celebrity in the front row of the Oscars where it's normal to be roasted. Bad taste or not, defending Will equals brain rot." Many pointed out that Will only did so because Chris made fun of his wife's alopecia, but Klein did not back down and said that that's no reason to slap someone in the face, which I completely agree with. And finally at number 1, Howard Stern. Howard Stern did not hold back on his Monday morning radio show, completely blasting Will Smith for his actions. Stern said, quote, "What you saw on TV was a guy with real issues. That's crazy. That's crazy when you can't contain yourself." His co-host Robin Quivers called the assault a quote blindsided attack, noting that Rock had no idea that the hit was coming. Both Stern and Quivers blasted the Academy for not immediately ejecting Smith from the event, with Stern adding, quote, "You don't provide security, you don't have someone to come up there. Chris Rock was just trying to make people laugh at the ceremony, which is so long and boring." Comic Nikki Glasser also called into the show to agree, with her adding that she's afraid of what might happen to other comedians when they make risky jokes at a comedy club. All three blasted the inaction from other celebrities in the room and the Academy for doing nothing.